All right. Well, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. Um, and I'm sorry that I missed service this morning. So again, my name is Echo, and I've been a resident here for over 20 years, and and a teacher. Um, and currently, I'm a guest speaker, right? So there's like in-house teachers and speakers, and then there's guest speakers. So even though I live here and I've practiced here for a long time, um, I was in-house, an in-house teacher and a priest for years. Um, I shifted my role over the past 10 years. And so now I'm kind of living, although I live here, I practice on the periphery. So I'm a marginal practitioner. Uh, Partially it's a lifestyle choice, having a different career um, and being pretty busy with that. Um, I have a daughter as well who's kept me really busy uh, for years. She's finally driving herself. Almost. She's got like 3 weeks, so she literally has the license in her hand. But we're like, she's getting close to where it's like, oh, you need to do something? Well, then go do it. Rather than, oh, let me schedule my life around what you need to do. Uh, yeah, so it's a big difference. And she's doing well. She's doing well, so I'm super blessed. I feel very blessed. Um, so anyway, um, you know, and then also there's a difference in roles and how we choose to fit in, you know. Um, I have so much appreciation for our priests who are here because in our tradition, being a priest is really the one who's like committed to holding it down and making sure everything is continually flowing as scheduled. And that is such an intense practice. Um, Holding the schedule is so, um, I'm not going to say difficult, even though it is difficult, but it's really an intensive practice. Um, Showing up on time to everything is it's a very committed practice. And so I appreciate that so much. And now, so I was a priest for several years, and now I'm a lay practitioner and teacher. Uh, and I'll share a little bit more about that. But just to get started here, so we practice with koans, if you don't know already. We have koans, and this koan today, koan is like a parable or a teaching lesson that comes out of the teachings. And they often seem abstract, esoteric, or maybe difficult to follow until we get used to, so part of the practice is getting used to the, the vocabulary and the language and sort of the poetry of it. Tends to be somewhat poetic. And so you'll see that here. And so this koan today is called The Stone Bridge of Joshu. A monk, my book is falling apart. This is okay. So am I. A monk asked Joshu, long have I heard of the stone bridge of Joshu. So a monk has come to see the teacher. Long have I heard of the stone bridge of Joshu, but now that I have gotten here, I see only a simple log bridge. Is that rude or not? Right? It's like, oh, I've heard of this great bridge, and now I get here and I just see this simple little thing. Joshu said, you just see the log bridge. You don't see the stone bridge. That's what Joshu said. And the monk asked, what is the stone bridge? And Joshu replied, it lets asses cross, it lets horses cross. Is that rude too? I don't know, right? Are they being rude to each other and kind of giving each other a dig here? I don't know. Not necessarily. I think that's an easy thing to kind of grasp onto, but on a deeper level, I don't think they're trying to be rude or mean. Maybe trying to be funny a little bit. And so that's it. This is the koan. I'll read it again. A monk asked Joshu, long have I heard of the stone bridge of Joshu. But now that I've gotten here, I see only a simple log bridge. Joshu said, you just see the log bridge. You don't see the stone bridge. The monk asked, what is the stone bridge? Joshu said, it lets asses cross, it lets horses cross. And so that is quite poetic, right? It's using metaphor. And so the idea is that here we are practicing Zen. We're at a Zen center. And we all have the opportunity to participate where we're at. Like the path meets us where we're at. And some of us come and we see, oh, this rigid practice, or oh, this silent community, or maybe somebody was short with you, or just gave you a quick answer, or told you that you did something wrong. We don't do that as much these days. Not as much telling people that they did something wrong. We try to point things out compassionately. Anyway, and maybe somebody's looking for that. I want an austere practice. I want a monastery that feels like a real monastery. I want real monks, like I read about or saw or heard about. And what I got was not what I expected. It's different than what I expected. When I first started showing up at the monastery and practicing, like during summers, I was very judgmental. I had an idea of what I thought enlightenment was and what someone who was enlightened should be acting like. And I remember, I think I saw a teacher smoking a cigarette. I was like, even though I'm an addict, right, an alcoholic, and I'm crazy, I see a teacher smoking a cigarette. I'm like, oh my gosh, how can that be? How can an enlightened person defile themselves? And of course, it's projection, right? We bring projection. Anyway, that's all I saw. Was the cigarette. I didn't see the depth of the path. And so we all see what we see until we can shift ourselves, and then we open our eyes in different ways to see more. And so that's part of what I wanted to talk about today was this projection, which I've incorporated the term psychosis into this. I'm familiar with psychosis as a drug addict. I've been in and out of psychosis throughout my life in that way. Being on drugs and thinking something's happening, thinking that things are real and they're not. And I paid attention to this. and noticed myself slipping into psychosis and slipping back into reality. I have done a lot of work with this, with myself, and then also looking around and noticing how that happens. How does that happen? And it happens every day. I was also a born-again Christian, and I know what that feels like, to feel like I have the truth. I know what the truth is, and this is the only truth. And I know from Zen, I used to think if everybody meditated a certain amount, the world would be a better place. If just everybody did this one thing, then things would be better. If I just acted like this all the time, I would be better. And so it's like a spectrum of psychoses that we all fit into somehow, because that's the nature of our mind. Is as beings, we create our reality. And so this is a practice of reality. We practice being here now because it sort of helps break that psychosis of, oh, I don't feel good about myself for these reasons. I'm no good, or I'm too good, or I don't look good, or I look too good. On a daily basis, I slip in and out of this sort of psychosis where, oh, I know I'm no good, and so I'm not going to go outside because everyone else knows it too, right? And so I limit myself from a lot of things that when I vision how I want to live, I have this vision of being free of psychosis. And inevitably, I slip into it in different ways. Like I gain like 10 pounds. So I'm like, oh no, I'm back to being no good and I don't want to see anybody and I feel, not myself. And so I judge myself and I judge others and I create a reality that limits me based on superficial or superficial surface judgments. And I'm not seeing the stone bridge. I'm just seeing the log bridge. Oh, this old thing, or oh, I'm no good. And yet, the stone bridge is here, right? This is what we're here for. The Zen Center itself is the stone bridge, right? Our practice, our Eightfold Path, our precepts are all the stone bridge, letting us all meet where we're at. If we're willing to open our eyes to it and see it. And so and so that part of that acceptance, right? It's like accepting myself as I am, accepting others as they are, accepting this world as it is, without judging it or wanting it to change, to be better or more awakened. It's all awakened. And we're all deluded, right? It's like delusion within enlightenment, enlightenment within delusion. And so we continue to practice slipping in and out of this psychosis of things aren't perfect. Just as we slip into, oh, everything's perfect just as it is, nothing needs to change. I'm just fine. I don't need to change because I'm just perfect as I am. Well, that is equally as deluded because I do need to change. I do need to make progress. The world makes progress and we are evolving. So to get stuck in one or the other is a psychosis. You know, if enough people get stuck into a psychosis, it becomes a mass, becomes dangerous, right? That's how genocides happen. That's how horrible mass um, uh, aggressions happen. And so here we are practicing our snapping in and out of our own little world. Um, and, you know, and every week we have opportunities to see the stone bridge, right? Every day we have this opportunity. If we're willing to take it, if we're willing to step up and step onto the bridge and practice with something, somehow. And that was powerful for me last week. We had our speaker last week, and it was a woman who had practiced with lay women for many years in Japan. And so she's written a book. Her name is Paula Arai. And she wrote a book about women in Japan practicing. And she talked and talked and talked, and it wasn't until later in the talk that somebody clarified, these are lay practitioners, right? Not priest practitioners. Or is it lay and ordained? Is that the two different designations? And I really got that for the first time in my life. I got, whoa, there is a difference. I mean, of course, there's no difference. But I was like, so as I mentioned, I was a priest 15 years ago for about 10 years, 10 or 15 years. And so I had this idea of a priest practice is intense, and I need to sit a lot. I need to do a lot of meditation. I need to participate in everything. And that's my standard, it's my bar. And then when I shifted out of that to a lay practitioner, I continue to hold myself to that standard. And so I judge myself. Oh, I'm a weak lay practitioner. Oh, I'm not doing it like I should. I was still holding this priest um, expectation. And I got it last week. Last week, I saw the stone bridge. I was like, no, I'm here. I am here. I'm on the bridge. And my practice is strong for a lay practitioner. And so it was such a relief. I was like, wow, I gave myself a break for the first time in like 10 years. uh, you know, so this is a deep pattern for me. This is a psychosis that I've been in. Is that, oh, I'm not good enough. My practice is not good enough. I'm not practicing enough. It's a psychosis. And I was able to snap out of it thanks to this woman and her teaching. And so, you know, I think that's the essence of what I wanted to share today was this encouragement for us all to see that we are on the stone bridge we are all crossing the bridge. We are all evolving. We are all growing, and we are all perfect as we are while we're growing, while we're moving. And so there's this dynamic of acceptance and pressure. Accepting ourselves as we are, just as I am in this moment, continually. I'm okay here. I'm awakened here within my delusion. I am awakened here within delusion. That's acceptance. And then there's pressure. And I still want to make progress. I want to let go of my addictive tendencies more. I want to take care of my health more. I want to be less selfish more. I can make this progress. And I need to, right? That's part of my self identity is making progress in my life. I want to become a better person for myself and others. I want to improve my karma. I worry about karma. I worry about death. I worry about where I'm going in my next life. I'm like, oh my gosh, right? I believe in sort of infinite lifetimes, right? And I have this deep fear of being like in a very painful lifetime. And it scares me. And I'm not sure, right? You know, I feel so much empathy and compassion for people who are really suffering in life. And I just think, man, I want to make the most of what I have. Because I've either been there or I'm going there. And somehow I want to ease my own burden by making progress if I can. So anyway, going back and forth from acceptance to pressure is part of this path. And both are the stone bridge, right? I'm doing Zen if I fully accept myself, and I'm not doing any Zen. I'm doing Zen if I accept myself not doing Zen. And I'm doing Zen if I'm like struggling and pushing myself to get to the next level and to do better, to follow the schedule more, to sit more. I am doing Zen there too. But this bridge holds all of it. One last thing I'll share is there's other practices, right? Back in the day, right, when Joshu was sitting on the mountain, you know, I guess there's always been many practices, but now we're like, whoa, there is a ton of practices out there that we can easily research and find and practice. And it's a real blessing, I think. It's a blessing to have limited options, so you just have to do one. But it's also a blessing to have too many options and be able to really pick and choose and create our reality. And last week, I also had a powerful experience with this practice. I work with a group or a couple of people in this group, and it's kind of like spiritual life coaching. And so I enlisted help from someone. And last week he helped me with the practice. I was like, man, I'm really stuck with this. And he walked me through this practice and led me through the practice where it was feel the upset and the anger with this situation that I'm not happy with. Okay, feel that. And then feel the resolution and the joy and freedom that comes with the resolution of that stuck place or that anger. And then go back and forth, and then go back, and then feel the pain and the suffering of this. And then feel the resolution and the freedom of this. And I've done this practice before, you know, over the years I've done that and other practices like it. And this time I really got it for the first time. I got, oh my God, I feel the integration. So the end of the exercises, now feel both at the same time. And I usually just lie and say, oh yeah, I feel both. But this time I really felt it. And I felt the despair and the anger and the upset and the release and the freedom within that. I could feel that integration. And it was very powerful for me. And I look forward to doing it more, and I'm excited about my realization that my awakening that I had within that. You know, and I consider these awakenings, right? That's an awakening. Realizing that I'm on the stone bridge as a layperson is an awakening. And so I want to also encourage you all to honor your awakening. Awakening isn't just this huge blown away experience where all of a sudden I'm just laughing and, you know, just in a totally different space of just being fully awakened. It's like, no, it's very simple and practical. It's like, oh, I realize that now. That's an awakening. And honor that we have awakenings. We are all awakening continually. And sometimes right? It's like a wave and a particle. Sometimes we're just flowing with the wave, and then it comes together and coalesces as a particle. We have a realization. So own that. And it's a snapping out of psychosis to realize, oh, this is me, right? I'm perfect just as I am. As screwed up as I am, I'm also perfect. My judgments aren't me. My judgments aren't the truth about me or the world. Right? That's snapping out of psychosis. As subtle as it can be.